Hi everyone, it's Darlene. Welcome back for another card video. Today's card uses this set by Altenew called You Are. I bought it because of all the different sentiments in it. They were just really cute and some I didn't have. But then I noticed the design and thought it was pretty cool, so I thought I'd color it with my Zig watercolor pens. When I bought my Ranger watercolor cardstock, I thought I was buying the big sheets, but I accidentally bought this 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch pack, which is really kind of handy, so I'm excited I got that. And I'm using the Mini Misty. I just got it, and you can see it fits 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. It's made for cards, and so far I like it. It works exactly the same way as the other one. It's just a little bit smaller. So what I did was I put my watercolor cardstock in there, and now I'm stamping it with some Versamark ink on that design and sprinkling some embossing powder. This is Ranger Fine Gold Embossing Powder. And then I'll heat it to set it, and I did notice that this cardstock really warps a lot, and it's very thick too. So when you have thick warping cardstock, it's kind of frustrating. So what I did first was I kind of tried to manually roll it out, and this actually worked pretty well. So I did that a couple of times, and that worked for now anyway. For my coloring, I wanted to go for kind of a marbly sort of effect. So I took a dark green, this one's actually called May Green, and I'm coloring direct to paper with this marker, and I'm doing the edges, most of the edges. And there's not really a pattern or anything, I'm just kind of randomly putting some green down. And then I'm using one lighter green marker, this is called Pale Green, and then I'm leaving some white space for yellow, and this is just plain old yellow. And I'm just filling in all the leftover white space with the yellow. So I'm just sort of splotching it all in there. Now what I'm going to do is take my aqua painter, and I'm just going to tap in the water. So I'm not really doing too much blending because it is a very small area, and if you blend too much, all the colors will run together and you won't get any variation. I did try this first with a regular paintbrush, but I felt like I didn't have enough control of the water that was going out, so I switched to an aqua painter. But you can do either, it really doesn't matter. It is important to emboss the image because there's a lot of detail in this, and the embossed raised areas will help you stay inside the lines. So I just sort of picked some random areas to color within this design. I'm also using a tissue off to the side to wipe off my aqua painter when it gets too much color on it. So I'm going to continue doing this exact same technique here, using the 3 different colors in the different areas of the design and then tapping the water into it. You'll notice that as it dries, the darker color that I put along the edge really kind of seeps out to the very outside edge and gives a really nice perspective, sort of dimensional effect. The more water you use on this, the lighter the color is going to be. So I'm going to go ahead and speed this up, and I'm doing the same exact thing, just tapping my water in. You could also, by the way, do this technique with distress markers. I've done that a number of times, and I'll link to a video where I did that with distress markers. But it works the same way. You just color direct to paper and then tap the water in and let the water do the work. And that's kind of the key, is to let the water do the work. It's tempting to try to blend it yourself and get the colors perfect, but it's better if you just leave it, because over time it will blend to a really nice, pretty design. After this first layer, I really liked the way it looked, but I wanted to add a little bit more dark. So I went back in with my darkest green color, and you could skip this step. I thought it looked pretty anyway, but I just wanted to add a little bit more dark areas to the outside edge. So I just colored a little bit more with the dark green. I skipped the light green, and then I just randomly added some yellow here and there, just so the green would have something to mix with. And then I went with my aqua painter, and I just tapped in the water where I had laid down the new color. So you can layer these colors and make them even darker and brighter, and I really like the way it turned out after I added this second layer. I really like the look of yellow and green together. You can experiment with different colors here. I think a good rule of thumb is to stick with colors that are close to each other in the rainbow. So green and yellow are close together. I think orange and yellow would also look good. Green and blue, blue and purple, purple and like a pink would be pretty. Just think about the order of the rainbow. So there is a little bit of a heart in the upper left-hand corner, so I colored that with wine red. And then I took black, and I love this black. It's like a very smooth black marker that doesn't leave any streaks. It goes on very dark, so even though it's watercolor, it's almost like a calligraphy pen. It's very, very dark and almost creamy looking, but it goes on very watery. So, the nice thing is that it's so dark. If you wanted to blend it, it blends beautifully, but when you don't blend it, it still looks just so vibrant and dark. Anyway, so I wanted to highlight some of the areas to make the gold pop out a little bit more. So I just kind of picked out some of the swirlies around the green and colored them in directly with the black. I let that dry thoroughly before my next step. There are so many cute sentiments in this set. I just chose one of them and inked it up with some VersaFine Black Onyx ink. I'm going to clear emboss this because once I add the heart to the lower right, I'm going to want to gold emboss that, and if I get embossing powder on this pigment ink, it's going to stick to it. So I want to put some clear on top of the black to protect it, and then I'll be ready to put my heart in the lower right hand corner. Now I decided to add this heart because there was that heart in the upper left, and so I wanted to add a little bit more red, so I just pulled a heart from my stash and inked it up with some Versamark ink, and then got my gold embossing powder. Now you know why I embossed that "You Are Incredible" sentiment, otherwise that gold would stick to my black. So I'm heating it to set it, and then I'm going to color it the same color, the wine red, as I did the other heart. And this sort of balances it out and adds a little bit more red to the card. Now I ended up trimming it off about 1/4 of an inch, so I'd have an 1/8 of an inch mat all the way around. I have my Hero Arts black note card, which is white on the inside, and because of the warping of my paper, I found that the Scotch foam tape really helps to straighten it out a little bit. I think because it's long and it's kind of thick, and so I put 3 strips of that on the back and put it on my note card, and it really did help to straighten it out quite a bit. So I'm going to press that down firmly, and that will be the card for today. So I hope you liked it. Something a little bit different, kind of abstract, and I like the look with the Zig markers. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.